science team. My name is Miriam Bravo.
I'm Miss Mum.
I'm Mrs. Knowles.
And I'm Mrs. Pierre. Students, you're going to do a virtual lab to match descriptions of types of electromagnetic radiation to animation of waves. You will calculate the wavelength of each wave. Then you will order the types of electromagnetic radiation to the electromagnetic spectrum by their frequency and wavelength. Make sure you read through the entire PowerPoint before you begin. Have fun!
Hello class, today you're going to do an activity called the electromagnetic spectrum. It is a virtual lab. The debate activity. There is a great deal of secret security going on during the October 22nd debate at Lynn University. It is so secretive that we don't know the type of security being implemented on the day of the debate. One type of security used at airports is called backscatter X-ray, which gives you a chalk X-ray etching of a passenger. This mechanism works with X-ray waves. Since the mechanism uses waves to scan passengers, you will do the virtual lab on an electromagnetic spectrum waves. Here are your directions. You will print out the virtual lab worksheet. You will answer all questions on the virtual lab worksheet for a classwork grade. Read this PowerPoint through to the end for directions about the virtual lab. I'm going to be going through the website to show you how to do your virtual lab. Please follow along. I clicked on the website, and when you do your virtual lab, you will notice that once you put your website in, it'll say Glencoe Physical Science, and then you're going to click on what is electromagnetic spectrum. Once you do that, on the left side, there are directions on what you need to do. You're going to read through the directions all the way to the bottom. If you'd like, you can click print and print the directions. Then you're going to click on formula, and on your worksheet, please write down the wavelength formula, because you're going to find the wavelength formula and wavelength for all of the different electromagnetic waves. All the way on the bottom, there are different icons that you may use throughout your virtual lab: a journal, a calculator, and a table and graph. Or you may go back to the home page. In the center of your virtual lab, there is a spinner, and here are wavelengths. And there is a button called frequency, there's a button called match, and all of these are the different wavelengths that you will be studying. You are going to click on a wavelength and notice that it highlights. After it highlights, it also tells you the type of wavelength. This wavelength is infrared radiation. It tells you the frequency. It tells you that this wavelength information is just below visible light and electromagnetic spectrum giving off by all warm objects used in remote controls. It doesn't give you the wavelength, so you'll need to find that. The way you find the wavelength is you go through the spinner and you try to match what the wavelength is. As the spinner spins, you notice the wavelength changes, and you click match. Once you have a match, a white screen is going to come up, and it will give you the formula for infrared radiation and how to find the wavelength. You click on wavelength, and in this box you have the wavelength for the infrared radiation. Once you have that wavelength, you're going to take that number and put it onto your worksheet. When you are done taking that number, putting it onto your worksheet, then you're going to move on to the next wave, which is X-ray. And you're going to do the same thing with the spinner and finding a match. When you have completed all of the wavelengths, you're going to drop them into one of the boxes down here. So you will pull it, drop it, and drag it into a box. Make sure you complete all the wavelengths first. Once you have dropped them into the electromagnetic spectrum, you will notice that on the bottom you will start to get wavelengths for each of the different waves that you have on the right side. Once you have filled out the wavelengths down here, if you click on a button, it'll tell you if these wavelengths are correct. If they're incorrect, you will need to replace the different wavelengths into the right place until they are correct. Once you have drawn an electromagnetic spectrum that is correct, you will need to take this electromagnetic spectrum and draw it onto your worksheet. Let's move back to the PowerPoint. You will read all the directions on the left panel. You may print out the directions. You're going to click on the formula and write the formula on your lab sheet. You're going to click on each of the help buttons starting with calculations so you can get familiar with that virtual lab. Here on the next page is the same virtual lab website so that you can remember where everything is. Remember, again, when you get to the website, please read the directions. You can print them. Click on formula, write that down on your worksheet, and begin to click on one of these different waves at a time. Press the spinner, match, and write down the wavelength. And when you're completely done with all of these waves, then you're going to drop and drag into the electromagnetic spectrum, check to make sure that you have them in the right order, and then draw the electromagnetic spectrum onto your worksheet. Here are more directions. Again, I'm reviewing what I just did. Look at the wave indicator in the middle of the screen and press on one of the types of waves on the right. Notice the equation in the center of the screen. Use the spinner to find the wavelength and then click match. If there is a match, a white screen will pop up with the equation. Solve the equation and write it on your lab sheet. Continue until you have completed all the wavelengths. Drop and drag all the types of waves to the bottom of the screen to create the electromagnetic spectrum. Check to make sure the spectrum is in the right order and then draw exactly what you see on your lab sheet. Be sure to follow all directions on the lab sheet. Now it's your turn. Go to the Electromagnetic Spectrum Virtual Lab and complete the worksheet. This will be a classwork grade, and it will be due on October 23rd. If you need more assistance, visit the YouTube video for more additional directions. You can always Google electromagnetic spectrum information. Have fun, have a great day. And remember, this activity is due on October 23rd for a class grade. Bye.